Am I right in am I right in thinking that, Jerry?
Of course, it's heaven on earth, really,
That's what.
literally, and it. And for me, it was an opportunity to come out over 40 years ago with my friend who played football for the Chargers, Johnny Rogers. He won the Heisman Trophy, and personal friend of mine. And I came out to visit him. But before I came, I sent my portfolio because my mother said, "Hey, why are you going out to send your portfolio?" And I did. And to make a long story short, they relocated me. An engineering company relocated my family and me. And I figured it out, with my work ethic, and I can compete with these Californians. And I've been here ever since,
Wow, nice.
That's my story.
Most people that go to California do not return to the East Coast. I will say that. Everybody I've known that's gone to California, they do not come back, including my brother. My brother who moved out there too. He's, he'll come back in the summertime. He does not like the cold.
Except when he wants to go to Tahoe to go skiing.
Yeah, he seems to be skiing now, but he's come back a few times in the summertime, and we went to the Jersey Shore with his family, and he enjoyed that. He liked the warm Atlantic water in the summertime, but not in the winter. So yeah, San Diego's beautiful.
I like a change of seasons. I have to do my winter, summer, spring, and fall. I have to be someplace where I can experience that. I want to see some snow, not a lot of it, but I do want to know when it's time for the snow. I want to see the changing of the leaves in the fall of the year, the spring with the flowers bursting out of the ground.
Well, that's now, right now. That's my favorite time.
Getting ready.
I love.
You have some coming up. You have flowers coming up.
Well, there's daffodils out. My forsythia is about to pop, and then the flowers are on the oak trees, and that will be pollen all over the place. I'll be sneezing. But right now I have my windows and doors open because it was about 71 today here. It's supposed to be 45 on Wednesday, so that's what happens. It's up and down and up and down. I haven't heard a robin yet. So when I hear robins, then I know spring is here.
They're probably out there.
No, you hear them about 4 o'clock in the morning. The males come first. They're going to build their nest. They declare their territory, and they have a special trill. Once you hear one, you know it's a robin. You know the story about the early bird gets the first worm? That's what robins are. They're out there getting the
what was your major?
I was a biology teacher.
The biology teacher. That's
biology.
How she knows all this stuff.
So I equate everything.
And she would have us going through the woods looking for different things.
Well, Brenda, tell them about when you first went to Washington and the flowers. You don't remember walking down the street and telling your girlfriend, this is a such and such, and this is a so
yeah, I know trees and flowers because she used to, every time we go through Montclair, which had a lot of trees and flowers, she would like drill me all the time on it. What's that? What's that tree? What's that flower? What's that? And people were always impressed that I knew all the different flowers and stuff. So, but yeah, now it's spring is nice. Spring is nice. I think, Aunt Beleda, you're in a more moderate temperatures. Well, this year was a little worse with the snow, right? But I think if you're somewhere where the snow really like slows you down and you can't go places, like up here, it gets cold and too snowy, then I'm sick of winter. I'm like, what is the purpose of this? I'm missing valuable days. I can be out doing stuff because you gotta.
But so when are you going to relocate to
Virginia? Yeah, as soon as I move out of my house. So you have any tips on how to get rid of 23 years worth of stuff in a house? Any tips on
oh girl, don't even ask me. Don't ask me. So now it's trying to find out where is everything.
Yes.
I've got these different places where everything is stored, because we couldn't fit it up in here. But It's hard. Something I don't.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
That's our great grandfather and great grandmother,
Oh.
Betty and Reuben.
Uh-huh.
And thank you for saying that. What I'm going to do is run through a few photos, and these,
Okay.
and then we'll be able. I met my one of our other cousins. And we have a branch of cousins around our same age, and they're the Atkins, and 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 our great grandmother City and Reuben, they had kids, and one of them was named Josephine, and Josephine's granddaughter is the one who gave me these photos because I met her at a Starbucks, and so she gave me some of her photos plus some that I had. So I met her, and she lives here in San Diego.
Mm.
And I came with my documents and she came with her documents. So I
Oh,
had to barter with my cousin, but it worked out fine. So that's why I have these photos. And these are the two. There's Reuben Moss, and that's his wife, City. And Reuben is mulatto, and you can see how dark City is, strictly African.
Yes.
And so with that in mind, they lived in Arkansas, and their sons were porters on the railroad, and they got a chance to travel across the country, and they established themselves in California. So in 1910, these two lived in Prescott, Arkansas, and between 1910 and 1918, they had moved out to California, and that's where they eventually they passed away in 1918. And she passed away first, and within 2 weeks or to a month, he passed away. That's quite ironic, and they're buried in Evergreen Cemetery in East Los Angeles. And I went to visit their gravesite a couple of years ago. I was in the right area. I didn't get specifically right where they were, but it was a humbling experience. So let me share some pictures. There she is, a little closer look. That's him closer, Reuben. And his profession, he was a farmer, and he also was he was a minister. He was a man of God.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure that he was.
I wonder if he's the one with the gray eyes.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't know whether he had those gray eyes or not.
Well, Jerry just said he was a mulatto, so he might have.
No, this is, hey, my cousin, this is no conjunctions. We don't need to use conjunctions, could, would, might, because we have relatives, brothers and sisters who have those hazel eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know. I know.
Yeah. It's no
quite a bit on our side too.
Yeah, and we do too. I got my brothers and nieces and nephews. That's one of the visual genetics that has been passed down. Our family have so hazel, beautiful eyes. Now here's City right here. Grandma's City. There she
is.
With
the flower, yes.
Oh, over here. So she must have been at one of those functions, and this is one of her relatives.
I thought maybe that was her wedding dress.
It looks like it was. I can't confirm that. And there she is, a little closer. There you go.
This is the one. I love this picture.
Look at these gentlemen. When I zoom in, can you see it a little clearer?
Yes.
Brenda, can you see that?
Yes, yes. So who are they? Who are they?
Okay, Jerry, tell them who all
Go ahead.
They all are.
Go ahead,
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, ladies first.
Well, Grandpa Moss is the one right there. You can sort of see him with his eyes, his full face in the front.
Yes.
On the left, you see that? That's
Yes.
Nana's father. Nana, Uncle Lawrence, and
that's nice. That's a nice picture of him. I've not seen a young
Mike
picture of him.
McGee's
Wow.
dad. That's
Yes.
their father.
What is that, number one, number two?
No,
Number one or number two in the picture?
you did a good job.
What do you mean number one and number two?
I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one are you saying?
Okay, okay, you can't see my pointer, but he's
No.
in the front with the hat. He's number on the left-hand side. That's
Oh.
James Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Now I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
These are some of the Moss brothers. There's a couple more of them, but that was their name, and they were favored. Our whole family was favored from being enslaved. After that, we had favor, and we know that because these gentlemen here, my uncles, they were educated to the degree that this one here is Henry. On the top left, his name is Henry Moss. Henry Luther.
Luther. That's why his haircut, I always know him from Luther, So it's Henry Luther.
There he is right there. And over to the side, this is either John, one of those John, or he's most likely is John. I don't have him totally confirmed, but this is Uncle James, and this is Samuel. And these two.
What's his name?
This is Samuel Frederick Moss right here.
Okay, see, I didn't know him at all.
Samuel Frederick Moss, and him and Luther, and as you see, Uncle James, they were dapper, they were clean, they were educated, and as you know, my Uncle James, he was one of the first to get a theology degree from Howard University.
Yes. And Brenda, you can relate to that. Did you get one of your degrees at Howard?
Yes,
No?
my law degree.
Or law degree.
My law degree.
From Howard
Yeah.
University, Jerry.
So has Val told you about that Uncle James got his from there?
Yes,
yeah.
I did know. I
Yeah,
did know that.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so these are the two, Henry Luther and Samuel. These are the two that went to California, and I have a lot of information on them when they were in California and where they lived at, and they worked as a porter, not as a porter, as a hotel porter at the Van Nuys Hotel downtown in Los Angeles. And that hotel was a brand new, big spanking new hotel. They were a porter, and he shined shoes, but he had a great job down there at the Van Nuys Hotel. And they lived not too far on 32nd Street in Los Angeles. That's these two right here. And politically, they were Republicans. It shows up on their, on their rolls that they were Republicans. Now that's these two right here, those two. But the one that I've gotten a lot more, let me tell you, here's our connection. He's not shown, but my great grandfather's named Thomas Moss, and he's the older brother out of all these. All these Mosses, my great grandfather was named Thomas Moss, and he passed away at an earlier age. I don't have it totally confirmed, but I do know he is the older brother of these brothers. So those are some of the brothers, and they had a sister named Josephine, and she married in Athens. And so that's where Judy, Ramona, and those other cousins, we talk about Val, our cousins, we had
Yes.
cousins our age and older that are from the same set, but they're from the sister.
Mhm.
And so our DNA has verified, clearly. And so I just wanted you to know my great-grandfather is the older brother of all these. He was the first one. There's a Thomas, there was a William, John, and then these three.
Now, does Thomas connect some sort of way with Tommy Lewis, who has the research, has done all the research on the white side of the mosses?
If just look at it like us, if one does, they all do. In this particular case. And that's one thing they did. They stuck together. They stuck together. They followed each other, and they helped each other to where we're at now. And look at them. Look at their stature. These are my uncles.
Handsome men. Handsome.
Now,
I have a question. I don't know if you were about to get to it. I didn't get the name of the gentleman on the upper right.
that's what we're saying. This is either John or William.
Okay.
It's not Thomas. It's not my great grandfather. But I'll tell you all this, my cousins. It's a humbling experience.
Yeah.
To see them and to know that through my career and who now I know who I am, and I know where I came from. That this is your Black male cousin, and my genetics and my DNA. I believe I'm the genealogist for the Moss men from our branch.
Yes, you are.
So when I see them, I take the torch. I'm one of them. You see, so I have a whole lot of pride. I just be floating everywhere I go. I'm a Moss. This is my uncle. This is that. So I'm tough. And I'm talented, but I'm blessed first by the grace of God.
Yes, yes.
So,
Jerry, have you done?
Do you have one on Josephine, the sister?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
But before I do this, it's not often I get this. It's a blessing that we're talking about this branch. Now let's talk about my Uncle James. Ooh, what a phenomenal man. After he got his degree, I believe it was in 1911, he traveled. He left the East Coast and he went to the Midwest. And he was a traveling pastor, preacher, and he also worked. And so he was a minister. He was sharing the word. But up in Minnesota, he was in a boarding house, and that's where he had a relationship with one of the people in the relationship. In the boarding house, and that's where one of his they had a child, a son, and that's where that lady and him. That's where these Mike McGee and Pat McGee's. When you see McGee's in your family tree, they're white, but they were mixed in, and they're from Uncle James.
Yeah, their father was was Grandpa Moss's son, and
right. And they were and they wondered when I saw their when I was doing my research a few years ago, I saw their DNA, they were matching, and I reached out to them like I normally do, and it's, oh no, you must be wrong, we're no kin to you, and these they're like third or fourth cousins of mine, based off of the numbers,
close.
And oh no, we don't know. Show me some more verifications of what they told me. I said, well, look here, I'm not here to do a whole lot of that with you guys. I'm just going to tell you, we relatives. I'm just reaching out. Well, that planted a seed. And to make a long story short, they started doing the research, and I said, go to GEDmatch. You matched me on GEDmatch. So what is GEDmatch? So I told them about GEDmatch. Upload your DNA to GEDmatch. And then they saw how they related to me there. And that still wasn't enough. And then here's where my big time cousin Val came in. They matched Val. And Val reached out to him. And see, I went at him with a, a sledgehammer. She must have went back with, a rose or something. But she pulled him in. And then they realized that they were relatives and that we are relatives. And then we did all of our research.
Jerry, don't forget, they were asking me, well, who is Emerson? Emerson. And I said, no, Emerson is not Grandpa Moss's son. And because when I guess they saw pictures of Emerson, and Emerson looks like he might be Caucasian or whatever have you. But I said, no, he's not James Monroe's child at all. They said, oh, okay. Because I think it was sort of difficult, to accept if you've been going as white all your life, and then all of a sudden you find out that, you've got this black blood in you, But Mike has been just wonderful. He's been able to handle it. He's brought his daughter in so that we had a chance to meet her. There are other children that he has that you'll see on your list of your matches and so forth. But he has been the one that has remained very close to us, both Jerry and myself. Yeah.
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm getting the scoop here, because I actually didn't know yet, because I missed that meeting. My apologies, but the one where he went through his tree. So James Monroe, who I'm looking at right now, my great grandfather, in Minnesota, had a relationship and had a son. Was this woman white?
Yes.
Okay, so wow. And who's that son?
He's dead now. But what's his name?
Yeah, what's his name?
What was their father's name?
I don't have I have a picture of their dad, and he looks something like Uncle Lawrence. But and a picture that Mike had shared with me of when he was in the military. But I don't have his name written. Okay, so you know what?
If I go back to the recording of the meeting, I might be able to watch it and see what the name was. Yeah.
Now, did he know he was biracial?
I didn't know. I'm sorry. What?
Did he know he was biracial? I mean, does he look brown? Does he look like he's mixed?
No, he
didn't.
didn't.
Can you tell he's mixed?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, except when you see a picture of, well, Jerry went out and went ice fishing with Mike, because where Mike is located, of course, they could do all the ice fishing. So they went ice fishing together, and they had taken pictures of the two of them together. Now, other than color, you can see how they are related. Now, Jerry, I don't know when you have that picture that you could pull that up and show it.
Yeah,
of you and Mike together fishing.
Excuse me. I'm gonna tell you how the synergy, how it is. It wasn't out ice fishing. Last year, I went home to Omaha, Nebraska, and took a 2-week
that's right.
trip. And Mike lives in Minnesota, and he knew I was there. And I told all my my DNA relatives I'm gonna be home for a couple of weeks. And Mike arranged with his daughter. They drove down from Minnesota. And after my first week, they met me at a hotel and we interacted there. And then on a Friday, went out to have lunch at a Cracker Barrel or something. And that's when I first met him in person. And then the next day I had a fish fry, and he helped with the French fry, him and his daughter, Erin. But that was such a pleasant, he wanted to see me, and that was so nice of him to come down. And so that's where the synergy is now. So we're really close. And so I want to take, Rachel, I want to tell you this. Now, from Minnesota, let me tell you, Uncle James traveled. And he had a first cousin that lived in Omaha, Nebraska, where I was born and raised. And so he traveled to Omaha, Nebraska. And that's where he lived a number of years in Omaha, Nebraska. And I never knew him or anything like that. I don't know exactly when he left or not, but he lived in Omaha, Nebraska with his cousin named Edward Moss.
Yes, yes.
And one of his other cousin, Virginia Moss, she came and she was living in the same house in 1930 census. They both were in the same house. So he migrated to Omaha, Nebraska, but he was a traveling preacher. And eventually that's when one of his sons came and got him because he had
Uncle Lawrence.
Yeah, he went and got his father, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
brought him back to the East Coast because he had he had dementia or one of those. But he was in Omaha, Nebraska for a long time, and then his son came and got him. But he was a traveling preacher, an awesome individual, and it's just really a blessing to see relatives who are descendants of his, and we're family. All of you are, we're all family. But
Yeah.
that's our connection. That's our connection.
Yeah.
Jerry, do we know, Jerry, I have two questions. First of all, do we know how he got to Pennsylvania? Do we know how he got to Pennsylvania in the first place?
Yeah, that's
Howard.
Tell him, Val.
Well, I suppose that Howard University, when he was at the university, and there are some documents that show on the census data that he and Grandma Kearney were married and living there in DC.
See, now that's good information. Now this is his sister. This is his sister, Josephine.
Yeah, Josephine.
And that's William Atkins. Now this is Uncle James' sister, Josephine. So that's how I met them. And Josephine, this DNA, I matched one of these DNA, one of my third or fourth, and they said, well, I'm gonna call my mom, and then my mom's gonna call her. Oh yeah, that's my grandmother. And so that's how we started putting the pieces together. But it starts down in the fifth, and somebody that I matched with, and then I'm gonna call my mom, I'm gonna talk to my dad, and then they fill in that piece of the puzzle, and then there she is. That's my Aunt Josephine, and she's the one that we match all those cousins, Judy, Joanne, and Josephine, who's out here. We matched her through them. That's one of her kids. Those are the Atkins. These are the Atkins. See, Judy looks like him. My cousin Judy, that's her brother.
Yeah. Now he looks like he might have the light eyes.
Yeah, he's. I'm gonna go through this here to get some more. Because she had these are the Atkins, and that's one of the cars that they had. That Model T type car.
Yeah.
Because the dad was a pharmacist, so he had that car, and they had it in the family for a long time. Everybody tried to buy that after he passed on. And
who's that?
Now, this is Alice Wiley. She's one of the cousins. She's one of the she's our City Mosses. She's one of her daughters. So City, she had kids from a couple of different men, and this is one of them. That's Alice. I believe that's Alice. Yes. Go over here and get some more. Those are the Atkins. But I'm gonna show. I want to show you. They were down here in Tijuana. Sisters. Oh, that's Laura Meeks. See the Meeks family. She was a teacher. That's me. That wasn't our grandmother. This is Josephine's daughter, not her. Let me get. We got somebody else coming in. I'm gonna let them in. Let's go. Yeah, she was a school teacher.
Mhm.
She traveled. She's there. She is with her. Those are the Meeks and the Atkins. She had that. Those were her people. Josephine. Oh, now, hey, this is Judy. Judy Atkins. This is our cousin. She lives down in Louisiana now. That's the one who wants to talk to you ladies. She's a cousin of ours. This is Josephine's granddaughter.
Oh,
Cute.
kids are cute. They're beautiful.
So those are some of the Atkins, our cousins. And there's Josephine.
And that's the one that you met that gave you the pictures and so forth. Yeah.
We met. We met in September 2021 at a Starbucks, and she's the one that shared all those pictures with me. This is Josephine, my cousin. She's 85. She lives here in San Diego.
That's good.
It looks good.
Yes, she does.
And so her and I would, we met there. And she had hers, and I had mine. So that's the story that I wanted to share with you that brought us together. And these are the brothers. These are the Mosses. These are the Mosses.
So that's good because it gives an update for Brenda just coming in, that she gets a chance to see these people that we're related to, the background and so forth.
Yes.
Jerry, do we have any, you've gone back a long way. Do we know where the Moss name came from originally? Have we been able to go back that far?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to do. Everyone who's, I have the, let me take a look at it real quick. Who just joined in? Like we have Ida's here. There's Michelle.
I don't see anybody.
Ida, she's in, but she's not.
Oh, okay.
There she is.
Yes, there she is.
Hi.
Hi.
That's one of our cousins.
Jerry,
Yeah.
Jerry, have you taken your Y chromosome test?
No.
Well, that's what, if you do your Y chromosome test, you can find out where the original male ancestor came from. Because the Y chromosome passes from father to son unchanged. So if you take your Y chromosome, we can find out where in Africa our male line originated.
Okay.
Women can't do that because we don't have a Y chromosome.
Right.
Only the men can do that. So you can find out where the 35% of African-American men who take that find that their Y chromosome goes back to Europe. So it would be interesting to see whether yours goes to Africa or whether yours goes to Europe.
Okay, cousin Juanita. Can you all see this?
Yes. Yes.
You see that? You ask where did we get the Moss name?
Yeah.
Here's where it starts. I have this document. It has the generations. Let me pull it over here. Others. I'm gonna keep it right here. It has the generations, and it's starting at between 1820 in Alabama. Look, his name is William Moss. This is as best as we can start off, and then it's Martha McCoy, 1820. She was in North Carolina, but William Moss was born in Alabama, and he was a slave, and that Moss family came over to Arkansas, and the owner's name was William Moss. And on the 1850 slave schedules, there's a William Moss, and this William Moss was like about 26 years old, and it was just the number. That's in 1850. But after we got the 1870 census, then we got this person as a person, and he took the name of William Moss, the slaveholder from Hempstead County. The township is Ozan. That's where the Moss name came from. And then from there, those two had these Reuben, Henry, and Belinda. And then Reuben Moss, he married City. You see her right there. And that's where they had, see, Thomas W. Moss, that's my great-grandfather. And no, my great-grandfather. And then here's William, Josephine, here's Monroe. And when I talked to Val the first time, she said, well, there's a James. Well, I don't know, his name is James. I said, have you heard of the name Monroe? You remember, Val?
I remember, yes. And that's when I found out how his name was spelled, because we always thought it was Monroe, M-O-N-R-O-E, and
there it is right
I
there.
got that corrected right fast.
And there he is right there.
Yeah.
There's Jeannie Moss. She was there in the 1930 census with her brother in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes.
And then
I
his
have
John,
the census for that. Yeah.
and his Laura, Fred, and see Luther Henry. He was born in 1879 and he died in 1951 in Los Angeles. And they had a sister, Lena. She was at Prescott and she died in Los Angeles.
Oh.
See, so they were in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's and then it just goes on and on. Here's Thomas, and it talks about, there's my grandfather. That's my father's dad. His name was David Moss, and these are his brothers and sisters. And so now I have cousins that I've connected with, and you all will be doing the same thing. I have their stories. They have Bibles. They show me pictures of the Bible that talks about each other. So I do have the documentation, and I'll send that to whoever needs to see that.
Thank you. That's very
Yes.
helpful.
Thank you. Yes. I would like to get a copy of that. I don't know, somebody, Amplita, did you have a copy of that already?
I have a copy, and I
Okay,
think
I'll get it
Juanita,
from you.
you have a copy too.
You have a copy,
I
Mo?
know
Do
Jerry
you have a copy?
discussed that
No?
early on, but I have a copy, yeah.
Adelaide will give it to you, yes.
Yeah, if you could send it to me too, because
Oh, sure.
I was thinking if we ever get around to having our reunion, we were supposed to have a reunion, Jerry, in 2020, and you know how that went down. So if we ever get around to it, there's something I want to create for the reunion. That
What is that? What is it?
I want to
In Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
What is it, Rachel? What is it that you want to create?
I want to create an interactive infographic of our family tree using this program, Genealogy. It's so basically I want it to be where you can hover over someone's picture and get the information that we have on them. And then have, if you click on it, have it lead to the next person. It's going to be a big project, but so I'm going to need a lot of help, and I'm going to have to figure out when I'm going to have the time to work on it. Probably this summer. I've got several jobs right now, but it's definitely something I want to do. So, when I do that, I would share that with all of us,
Sure,
with the
sure.
entire family.
We can put it on some sort of big screen for video purposes. It's so that the people that are going to participate in the family reunion will be able to see it,
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd be able to share it that way. And also it would be a link that people could just visit on the web.
Yes.
So it would be useful, I think.
Yeah. And I think we have enough information on our family trees that we've already put together. I love the one that you showed at the other genealogy meeting that we have. The way you've taken their census information, it connects right there with the person or whatever. I saw something that you shared the last meeting that we were on.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, it was your going into your tree and pulling up something for the last
That's
meeting.
all stuff I found in Ancestry that was already
Uh-huh.
listed in there. So I just connected it into the resources. part of my tree, but-
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
way
but
you
Jerry,
did
once
it,
I
I
get
like
that,
it.
once I get that project going, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. I have to kind of sit down and map it out myself and figure out what direction I'm gonna go in there.
Well,
I know that you said today that you wanted to talk about something website related today.
yes, but let's stay focused on your vision. Whenever you say create, God was a great creator, and whenever somebody mentions the word create, that means you're putting some thought into it. And I want to help facilitate you with that. Now let's take it, let's put it in context of what we can do right now. Just like we're having this Zoom meeting, let's set up a Zoom virtual reunion. A virtual reunion.
Yeah.
That's something that we can do right where we're at. You can reach out to our different people. We can assign tasks, and I can brush up a little bit more on the program because you can branch out. You can have different Zoom meetings right off of this one, Zoom rooms,
Yep.
and let's just see if that would create some information, some interest that we can reach out and deal with, contact our relatives virtually. And one thing that we have to we have to face the fact, we're in pandemic mode forever now, as far as I'm concerned. And we won't be able to do like we used to do, but we can use this technology just like we're using it now. And I don't want us to not lose contact because of excuses.
Right.
So I want to work with you. We talked about the web page, and that's one thing that we can do where a lot of things can be under one umbrella instead of, the different sources. When we put things together, somebody creates, they have an idea, I say, go for it, I'll help you. And I end up doing a lot of the work and they do it. And then next thing you know, we got something. We got something that we can use.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
and
when I
this
saw what
would be, I was going to say, this would be good of connecting with the website that Jerry has been putting together, that now that we have a website for the Moss Genealogy group, right?
Yes.
So this would be great,
And
as well as for our family reunion.
yeah,
Well, when I saw the way that you laid out the generations, that's what I feel like we need to do. So even in our other group, Aunt Valeda, we need to sit down and create a document together where we lay out those generations, So we have that. That would be the starting point, because that would be the necessary mapping to really see, to then turn that into something visual,
Yeah.
The information would come from there.
well, I just want to ask you, when you asked me about a half an hour ago, somebody said, where did we get the Moss name? I was able to answer that question based off of the information that I have. And the things that was a little fuzzy about the different brothers and sisters and the rest, when I pulled up that document, it laid it out, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, see,
Yes.
I have a
Forget
program.
who.
I have a program that I paid for, and I'll definitely share it with you. It's called Family Tree Maker.
Oh yeah, I have one of those.
It's remarkable. What you upload your tree to it, and any one of the persons that you want to have a published report on, it breaks out their ancestors in that report, just like you saw that report that I had them all itemized by generations. And that's what was given to me. We have a cousin named Frances Haywood, and she lives out in Carlson, and I've met her a couple of times. And she's one of our family historians. And you're right, Diane Trotter, she helps. Eddie helps with the technical aspects. So, and Rachel, quite frankly, my cousin Val, she's pressed on me. We want to turn our research over to your generation. But you got to be.
I know that.
But there's
it's
a fact
fine, but it has
wait,
to
wait a
come
minute.
from
Let me finish.
a place
Wait,
that,
Wait,
I'm just saying,
but
if
just
you
a
all
minute,
have your people,
Rachel, just a
yeah.
minute. But you got to be ready. We're not just gonna give it to you. We got to show you that you, when we do turn it over to you, that it's going to be in some great hands, and you'll be able to distribute the information and share it where it has value. Because the torch, we got to give up what we got and what we've obtained. That's the only way the only way we're going to be free, is if we give it up.
And the other thing too, Rachel, like, you are very astute when it comes to the technology part of all of this. Okay, how to do different things, and I've seen you do it both with this group and our other group that we're involved in. And so the key will be to have other people on the team, so that you don't have to do it all, but you can delegate
That is the key.
and give them assignments, and they have to fulfill their assignments,
Right. Well, that is the key. I'm invested. I mean, Jerry, I haven't been to this meeting in a while, but because the schedule sometimes doesn't work out for me, but I'm invested. I've been to our other meetings, I've been to every one of them. And I'm invested, but the key is what you just said. I am one person. I have a full-time job. I have a side gig. I have a family. I have young children. I have a husband. So, I'm more than willing to carry the work, but I do need other people to be invested. And like I said, I've tried to pull in my cousins, and they are not interested. Well, they'll be interested in seeing it when it's done, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're right. Everybody wants their own copy of it, so that'll be good. But
right.
I want to.
So I have no problem with the work. It's just that it's a lot of work.
I want to put this on the table. It is a big challenge, but I believe with our minds and our resources, we can do it. Can we set up a tentative virtual family reunion?
If we wanted to set that up, I would be more than willing to run the Zoom piece. I mean, that's what I do every day. So yeah, I'm all down for that part. But it would have to be a team effort, it's, and planning step by step together and making it happen. For me, I'm more than happy to do that.
And from my standpoint, what I would do, I would share with you all my historical information when it comes to like presentations. I'll share that information with you. And I need to know a little bit more, like as you say, you can handle the Zoom, do you do breakout rooms and all that?
That's my entire job. I run workshops all day. I put hundreds of people in different rooms together. So yeah, that's something I do.
And I believe, Val, what do you think if we put that out and it's going to be a virtual, just, we got to get started. We can't wait.
Yeah.
What do you think, Val, if we come up with a, who, what, when, and where?
We can do that.
And then we put all of our resources, you like that historic information you have, Juanita, your books, and all that information is very helpful when I sit down and see it, and I see all you acknowledge us, happy birthdays, and all these different gadgets that you know about. You got technology down. You got a couple of books that you wrote, Doctor, and we gotta emphasize and acknowledge the people who are here.
Right.
I suggest we have our virtual Zoom on August 1st when we wanted to have a reunion, because that's my husband's birthday.
Well, we're talking about right now, we've got to put a lot of material together for the big family reunion.
Oh,
and
all right, but I'm saying if we can't have the actual family reunion, can we have a Zoom on August the 1st?
Well, we'll have to get with the rest of the committee. There's a large committee that's
all right.
That's a part of the family reunion piece, and we'll have to pose that to them.
I'm just putting it out there
in agreement, But for this particular effort of gathering information and putting it all together and so forth, that's another piece that we need to bring closure to.
Right.
That we're talking
Valeda, was there a committee that did this work, the putting together of the family tree and the genealogy piece?
Not so much the tree and genealogy piece. I think they were looking at what I had already started on and
Okay.
then, you know, adding on from there. But I think that we'll just have to pull the committee back together and talk about, you know, this other step in between that we want to bring to fruition and get some volunteers to support the effort, see what we can come
Right.
up with.
So what I would propose right now as a next step is a tiny next step, just a tiny next step. Jerry, you've shared already the document that you just had, right? With the lists and the generations, and Aunt Valeda and Aunt Juanita, you guys have that, you said, right?
Yes.
So if we can put together between now and, you know, over the next couple of months, just get together, even if we have a small sub meeting, or if we have questions, we reach out to Jerry and ask if he has time for a quick meeting, or if we got together via Zoom for just to put together a document for each side that we need to do that for. Because I know we have several. We have the Mosses, we have the Winds, we have the Mercersburg people. We've got several branches to put together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that part could be what I envision. Us just on a Zoom meeting, I share my screen and I type it out while you tell me. So that would be our listing out of the generations, and that would be the first step, really, I think.
And we'll want to connect with the committee members to find out what would be a date that we can agree on, that we can get together and set it up through a Zoom meeting.
Right. So you would have to let me know who all the committee members are.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Question? Based off of this conversation, I want to make a recommendation.
Yes,
Now,
please.
you all were obviously going down the track about having a reunion, a physical one, wasn't you? Weren't you? Y'all still going to do that? You're going down that track, right?
Well, right now
Not
we
this
don't
year.
know. We have
Wow.
we have a place that we've had set up as to where we were going to have it for the last 2 years, but because of COVID, we've had to cancel to the following year and the following year. So it's scheduled for this year, but we're still not going to be able to do it this year because, you know, people still have concerns about catching COVID. So I guess the best thing is to start talking to them about the Zoom type of meeting that you had mentioned, where people are all on the screen and can talk and communicate with one another. And then maybe once COVID is cleared up and finalized and out of the way and we're all without masks and everything else, then we can think in terms of another year that we can actually be together as family.
Well,
But
thanks for clarifying that. That being said, you know, again, I'm going to resort to the who, what, when, and where before.
okay.
That being said, I agree with cousin Juanita that August 1st is a date for a Moss Genealogy Research Group reunion. And I connect with a lot of different people from my side and other side. You all have the wins and everything else. I recommend that we do that on August 1st, a virtual family reunion, and put it out there for all the people who we have contact with underneath our umbrella, and use it as a tool, a teaching tool. But what it does is it's an asset, because a lot of people can't physically be together. And if you can't be physically together, you can be together virtually. And that's what these programs are for. That's why I've invested in them in the first place. so I can meet people virtually.
Mhm.
But it's another undertaking when you say a virtual family reunion. But it can be fun. It's been done, and I'm an action person. Like August, it'll be here in no time.
August
Yeah.
1st is a Monday, so we weren't planning on the Monday. We were talking about the weekend, right? 6,
Yeah,
7?
yeah, the weekend.
The 6, 7. August 1st itself is a Monday, so that's not
And
Well,
what
would
is
be-
what is the weekend?
the 6th. The Saturday is the 6th, and Sunday is the 7th.
Okay.
But
So
wasn't the reunion
say the
supposed to be
6th.
wrap around with one starting on the 31st of July? Isn't that what we had said originally? Like 2-day reunion?
It was 2 days, yeah.
So that would have
That
been
was a
31st.
couple of years ago, though, a year ago.
That was, things have
Oh,
changed
yeah.
since then.
6-7 might be tough for me because that's
Ah.
that weekend is the weekend before my daughter's birthday. So we generally
okay.
do something for her birthday.
Okay, so here's another thing too. In order to, instead of pigeonholing ourselves, let's have it for a weekend. And so, like, if you're not there on one day, you're on another day. We have like about 2 days worth of activities. Zoom, one might be for ancestry, one might be connecting where we at right now. But we got to do something. I don't want to procrastinate and put it off. And I can do it. You know, if the good Lord allows me, I can do it. But I just need to have the kind of feedback. You gave me the idea.
Maybe since we're not doing the physical reunion this year, although people have, in our side of the family of CARB, the Pennsylvania people of CARB have tentatively carved that time out. But a lot of people are busy in the summer. I know you want to do it soon, Jerry, but I was thinking maybe fall, like September might be better, because it's always hard to find dates in the summer. Everybody's on vacation, especially East Coast. Everybody's got different weeks of vacation.
Okay,
Is that too late?
So you're saying fall now.
I'm trying to advocate for my generation. We got children, and our children go to school.
You'll be back in school, but if it's Zoom, not in person. But if it's Zoom,
yeah, but it's getting if you don't remember having your kids in school, the week is very busy. The weekend comes, I would prefer.
Okay, so you want to do summer?
I think that was one of the reasons why we went with August, so that we grabbed them before they went back to school, so that those parents that have children that were going to be involved would not have that interruption with their schooling. And that's why we went with, I think it was the end of July, the beginning of August, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Well,
Well, that was definitely in person. We would have to do it that way, but it's all right. Well, it's always hard to schedule.
September is the busiest month of my job, where we support.
Okay. I just thought maybe summer, everybody's vacation. It's just hard sometimes to coordinate people in the summertime, I find, because everybody's got a different week they're going away or doing vacations.
Question.
Okay, Jerry.
So see, I see a whole lot of why nots.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what we can do if we're alive in order to do it. I would even speed it up even more than that. With this technology, what we're talking about doing is so don't overcomplicate it. We're talking about sending out a link. We're going to have a family reunion on Zoom. I would say 3 months from now. With this March, April, and May, and just see how that works.
It's her birthday.
I'm gonna advocate for since I envision I will be taking charge of some of this technology piece. And
when's the best date for you, Rachel?
July, because my job, I'm teaching a course at night, and in addition to my full-time job. That doesn't end until the end of May, and then it's just a busy time.
All in favor for July and Rachel. Rachel.
July's all right.
I'm fine with July, but I'm already out part of July, so it depends on what day.
I mean, we could coordinate a date, and to be honest, I'm already thinking of ideas for how this could work if it's. But we have to also think about Zoom fatigue. We can't do this for more than a couple of hours.
That's
really,
fine,
you know,
but
yeah.
that's fine, but
Yeah.
we just gotta do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
And
our
get
I
it
agree.
discussion,
scheduled and get everybody thinking that date.
right,
know.
by our discussion now, from Juanita to Val and the whole situation, now we do have, we have the what, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting, reunion. The second thing, we have a tentative date. So in July, so we got 2 out of the 4. And then the next thing is the time. And then once we get the time, then we're gonna go into what the details are gonna be. So we progressing.
Right, right.
So what are we saying about July? When are you going away, Brenda, in July?
July is bad for me. I just talked to somebody earlier today. It's okay. I'm new to the group, so I'll just,
Well, I mean,
How long are you
Brenda,
gonna
I
be
could
gone,
also-
Brenda?
I could also do August, but for me, our center is a 10-month center for most people, but it's a 12-month center for me because I'm in a new role as a director. And I'll be there 12 months, but those summer months are very quiet. Their schools are out of session. We support districts and they are not going to be there. So I will have a lot more time to devote to really making this spectacular, you know.
And the thing about it too is,
Really,
you know, I had a 2 o'clock meeting and I was with my wife and my great granddaughter up at the Goodwill, a Salvation Army, getting some deals. And I wasn't able to make it on time. But you know what I did? I used my intelligence device. I got on it and I was moving around with it. I started the meeting with that. Once I got home, I switched to my camera. You got to remember, we have the technology to do it. If you want to participate, you can participate. You don't have to be sitting in front of a machine. We just got to use the technology, and we can't wait. Wait broke the bridge. If I waited for everything, I wouldn't be where I'm at and do what I do if I always waiting.
if we moved into August, let's see, there would be, we could do the
What
6th,
what
7th.
happened to July? I'm still in July.
Because Brenda said July wasn't
oh no,
really
don't worry
working.
about me. I'm gone the end of July. So I know the 4th of July is the first week. And then I'm pretty much gone the last 2 weeks of July, but don't worry about me.
The last 2 weeks of July, you're on vacation?
Yeah, I'm going to a friend's party in Bermuda, so I'll be out of the country. So I don't even know if I'll.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so when in July are you available?
I can do the week of the 11th, I think, the week of the 11th or after the 4th of July, like the later in the week. Yeah.
Okay, what
All
is
right,
the
y'all are gonna
Friday?
be
What is the
real
Friday?
annoyed. You're gonna be real annoyed with me, but I think maybe we should return to the original idea of the 6th, 7th of August.
Okay.
It'll give more time. You'll be back. And then I can push Sabrina's birthday festivities to the next weekend because her birthday will be that week. And then we can do something the week after. Because in New York City, they don't go back to school till late, like after Labor Day. So there'll be plenty of time for us to do something.
And she'll
Okay. That gives
understand.
us.
She'll be fine. She's gonna have to help me. I'm gonna make her help me.
All right, okay.
All right, that'll give us a little more
So
time.
we're
too.
saying the 6th and the 7th
Yeah, that's
of
good.
July.
Yeah, that works of August.
Oh,
I mean of August, yes, okay. And I can
August.
cross out all this July stuff.
yeah.
All right.
Well, you know, we're really close cousins. You know, to have all of you here from as close as, you know, it's just like we're in the same room. You know, cousins, we can talk to each other, talking over each other, all kind of stuff.
I know, I'm sorry.
But we're getting stuff done. You know, I love it.
Jerry, let me ask
quick
another
question.
something that crossed my mind when you said earlier that City and Reuben died in 1918.
Yeah.
You know what 1918 was, don't you? I was watching some special this morning.
The Spanish flu.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you think they were showing some place that were all these graves headstones had 1918 on them, all these people that died very quickly, you know, in time. And I wondered if that might have been what killed them in 1918.
Well, on their birth certificate, it didn't say that. That it was.
Oh, okay. All right. So they
Under
just
death
died.
But
They elderly at the time. They were old at the time.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they were
okay.
closely, she passed away first and he wasn't that far afterwards.
Yeah, you hear about older couples where that happens a lot. So, but in 1918.
And
My other question, and forgive me because I'm just new to the group, but I'm finding this. So, do we know how many slaves came off of the plantation of William Moss? Are there other Mosses that we
Yes.
might be related to that we don't know about?
yes, yes,
The white guy.
yes, there were, I have the 1850 slave census
Mhm.
for him, and they had his name and they had all the number of people. He had like about 26 slaves, William Moss did.
Oh, okay.
And it was a farm. This was a different situation. And that William Moss, he owned a steamboat. He had a farm, he had steamboat. They did merchants from the river, supplies up and down in the south, from the Red River. That he was over in that area there. So, and they would help each other because of weather, famine, the boll weevils. So these farmers would help each other. See, the folks, they got a narrative. If you really look into the records, you'll start seeing about their stories. They're documented more so than us. We were just a tool,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
they had them documented. The folks.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just wondering, Tommy did a lot of information about the other side. I'm just wondering if we should have him to do a presentation again. He's done several, Jerry, that you've had him to talk about. Do you think that would be helpful or no?
Oh yeah, when we talk about the historical part of it, yeah, it will. But let me tell you what's going to be the most helpful. The most helpful is look at us right now. All of us together. We can't even figure out exactly how we related in some cases. So I focus on the living. I know about the history, but I want to get as many people. Y'all talk about Edwards. You got somebody out here in San Diego, a relative of mine. I don't even know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw Josephine. I am about connecting us right now while we're alive. That's what I'm focused
The
on.
living.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a question though about what you just said. So Tommy is McGee, right?
No,
Well,
Tommy is Lewis. Tommy Lewis.
Oh, okay. So the
He's
McGees
on your
are
list. He's on your
no, I
match
know.
list.
Okay, so Tommy is Lewis. So
Mhm.
he's got information on which side? Which white side?
the Moss side.
Slave
The
owners, the
Moss side.
Moss
So
Oh, the
he's
slave
slave
owners.
owners.
So
Okay.
his information comes from the Moss slaveholder side.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
that is important because I was mixing him up with the McGee because I actually
Mhm.
met Tom was on here once when Tommy was here, but I was on here once when what is the McGee first name?
Mike.
What is his first name?
Mike.
Mike.
Mike McGee. I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
mixing them up in my mind. So thank you for
Yeah.
clearing that up for me.
Well, Juanita,
Yes.
how do you feel about this from what you're hearing, that us talking together as a family? What does it mean to you to see the synergy we have?
What do I say? What?
The synergy that we have as
The
a family
synergy.
Synergy.
on the
Synergy of all of us joining together with our energy to explode. Oh, I think it's wonderful. But I want to ask you, Jared, have you ever thought that perhaps you're a descendant of William William Moss? Have you wondered if you're a descendant of William Moss?
of the actual slaveholder?
Yes,
Oh, I can't verify that.
but have you ever thought that you might be? You
Uh,
can, but you can't verify maybe that he is, but you could verify if he is not by doing your Y chromosome. If your Y chromosome takes you right back to Africa, he's not. If it takes you back to Europe, could be.
Well, let me tell you.
Now you understand Aunt Juanita, when she's got an agenda.
Yeah, she's gonna stay on it, Jerry. She's gonna stay on it.
But
You
let
gotta
me-
get
Well,
set up for your
Do you
chromosome
want to know
test.
that or do you not want to know that? If you don't want to know it, don't do it.
Well,
Well,
what was
he's
Reuben? What was Reuben?
he's
When you say
skinny.
mulatto, what does that mean? If Reuben's mulatto,
that
doesn't that
means
mean?
no.
That
He's
would
a
be
true
his
white
father,
blood?
probably white,
Yeah, he
right?
was
Was
mixed.
William his
He was
father? That's what I'm
mixed.
asking. Was William his father?
No,
Yeah.
no. Listen at this. Now, listen,
Okay.
ladies. I want to be frank with you. That they also can be from the mother.
Who
The
can be?
mulattoes. They also can be from the
Mulatto
white
could be
woman.
from the
Oh,
mother.
sure,
Yeah,
sure,
but
sure.
she doesn't
during
have the Y
slavery.
chromosome. Only a man has the Y chromosome.
I know that, but we have the DNA. But here's what I can tell you about mine. I do have like between 10 and 13% Irish in my DNA. So I know that there's some in there.
Oh, yes,
You know what I mean?
yes,
Sure.
yes.
But like,
We all show that in our matches. you
yeah,
know.
Yeah, but what Juanita is saying is if you do the Y test, we can't do it. We cannot do it because we do not carry the Y chromosome. You,
Only
Jerry,
males do.
are the key to understanding.
You're our
We're
big
giving it to you,
connector,
Jerry.
our primary connector.
Jerry
Hey.
doesn't want to know. That's the
No,
thing. I can see he's like, I don't want to know that.
and you're on the East Coast and West Virginia. Y'all want me to be the canary in the coal mine. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes. You
Yes.
know, we're
We
from
wanna
coal
know.
country. That's not lost on
You're
us.
the
right?
key
You're gonna-
because you're the male of the family. You're the head of the family.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do that.
Well,
Oh, good.
I'll check on it. Juanita, give me the details and I'll definitely check on doing that. I'll do
Good,
that.
Okay.
okay.
Listen,
Y
Juanita.
chromosome
She-
for
she-
Jerry.
She knows how to do it because she's had other relatives do it on our other side of the family.
Yeah, I'll
And
do
what
that.
did you do, Mom? Which one did you do?
Leroy did it, and
Okay.
he took us
And-
back to Cameroon.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, Cameroon, all that. That's where we're at with Cameroon and Nigeria. They're all together. It's on the west. It's on the west coast. of
Yeah,
it.
West Africa.
Yeah, well, there were actually 9 countries, so we could come from any one or all 9, down through the ages, down through the
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah, I'll do that. But
Okay.
again,
That's your homework. That's your homework.
I do that. But like again, my focus is bringing us together as a family. You know what happened? That man, he separated us for whatever reasons. We were separated. The soul families, right
Scattered
next
all
door, and everything. We were totally separated. Our race was totally separated. And so after the war, they had reconstruction. You know what? God, the good Lord, He's allowing us to reconstruct our family through our DNA. And I'm just thankful to have engineering background, science, and the rest. That's how I'm putting these pieces together, our family portrait together through science. And if I didn't have that, if I didn't have that motivation, we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now. But that's how I'm reconstructing our family. So that's my urgency.
Yeah.
My family right now. And I want my kids to know it. Matter of fact, I got my kids, granddaughter. I got a lot of people who's been tested. And so that, that's
Before the DNA, how much did you know, Jerry, about your family history?
I knew a lot, but like in a lot of cases, the Black families, they have a lot of tragedy in their families. And some of that they don't want to talk about. And then they start alienating each other. And so when you look at our history, it'll come up. There was a lot of violence, a lot of, like my great grandfather, for example, he was killed by his nephew. And Thomas, David Moss, my grandfather, David Moss, my father's father, was killed in Oklahoma by a jealous nephew because he wanted to interact with one of my aunties. And my grandpa said, "Hey, no, I'm not going for that." And so what happened is this jealous, at that time, he shot him. He killed my grandfather.
That's a shame.
So that's why I didn't know much about the Mosses. And so it was a motivation for me to carry this torch and find out more about who the Mosses are. Now, I got uncles, just like all them uncles you guys got, right? Did you saw my great uncles?
Mhm.
My daddy's brothers and all them, man, them some general giants. They awesome. And I know y'all got the Moss men. Man, they general giants, man. They big time, you know. Nice, cordial, had a lot of love, and people gravitated to us. You know, so I saw those behaviors. So it's learned behaviors. And that had to be passed down.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It stopped for a while, that's for sure. You know, we got caught up in information not being shared, but through the DNA testing, we found out a heck of a lot. And I'm so thankful for your leadership, Jerry, because if you had not taken on this responsibility, we wouldn't know half of what we know now.
Thank you.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
That's what I
Oh,
was just
yes.
about to say, that I am
so much.
eternally grateful for the work that you've done and that everyone before me has done, and you bringing us together as a group. I remember getting the email from you on Ancestry, and this was before Aunt Valeta saw me and her results. I hadn't gotten my results yet. I had just built out my tree, and you were doing the work and saw that I had connected to a tree, and then you invited me, and I'm very grateful for everyone and their hard work and all the work that you've put into bringing together the family and how important it is. So thank you.
And
Thank you, Rachel. And this is the first time, like every time I see one of you, you know, one of my new cousins, especially from this branch, you know, it's really special to me. And this is the first time I've gotten to personally look at Brenda. I've heard a lot about her. So, you know, look at her. She's you know, and what that does, you know, it lifts my spirit. I get a chance to see my cousin and look at the different things she said. I'm going here, I'm going there. We have faith.
I just retired, you know, I'm trying to, and COVID's finally over, I think over, hopefully. So I'm taking off this summer. I'm gonna be very busy, but you know, I just making up for lost time.
Your mother is very proud of you. She's told me a lot about you, and my cousin Val has, and it's really an honor to meet you, cuz.
Yeah, thank you. And we're staying safe and doing it via Zoom, but I'm looking forward to meeting you in person someday. I'll come out to San Diego. Especially in the wintertime. I'll come on out. But yeah, no, I hope that we can do it maybe next year. Maybe we can do it in person once, so we can all really meet in person. So
well,
Jerry, I was gonna interject something. Ida Cummings is on this, and I wanted to find out from Ida, has she learned anything? Because I know I've seen your other video coverage, and she's been on that, and she's been doing a lot of research. And I was wondering if, since we're all very closely connected through DNA, if Ida has discovered that she's related to us, because I think she is related on the Moss side. Ida?
I was waiting on Jerry to pick that one for me. I did do what is it? In GEDmatch, I did where you could compare kits with, and I did it with Jerry. But
and Diane. Mm-hmm.
I know Diane said I was kin to her, but I got to go back because that was going to be my question. I wanted to ask you, did he get a chance? Did I send that information to him? Because a lot of the names I don't know or recognize. So I'm still new at this.
I saw the last meeting that was held, and when you were discovering more connections that you had, but you are connected on the Moss side. I think that was discovered, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that true, Jerry? I wasn't sure if I was on your mother's side or your father's side.
You're on that. You know what side you're on? You're on my inside.
Now you really got me lost.
Hey, I also want to introduce you to Michelle, who she's down below. She's right in the middle. Michelle.
Yes, I see her.
Yep.
Oh, I don't see Michelle.
She's muted.
Yeah, there she is.
No, she's muted.
And
She is.
Mm-hmm.
She's down there in Houston, And we're related in a couple ways, and sometimes we can't find out exactly where, but we interact, we talk, and we build relationships. So that's what I always want to do, is build a relationship. I'm building a relationship with Ida. But Michelle, she's studying and she's practicing genealogy. Correct, Michelle?
Yes, I'm becoming a professional genealogist
Oh, wonderful.
already. And right now I'm in a year-long program that goes through the whole process. Each month we do something different. We've done, this month we're doing how to write the research. Last month we did analyzing different documents and writing them up. I did a locality guide where if you're going to do research, what information is available in a certain town and how to pull it up. So after the year, I won't be free anymore, but I'm free now. So I tell everybody I'm working for free because I'm learning. And my title will be professional genealogist. And I enjoy doing it. And not that I would charge you guys, your family. I'm trying to search to find out how we're related. But as with all things I do, it's word of mouth that gets you in business. It's not the people that you're close to that you're making money off of. It's the friends of friends. So I hope that I'll be able to put something together that people will talk about and say, oh, you know her, she's good at whatever. And that's what I'm aiming for. So right now, yeah, I'm learning and this is what I really enjoy doing. I'm a retired elementary teacher. So.
Okay, great.
You were what kind of a teacher?
Elementary.
Oh,
Elementary, in middle school, I was a reading specialist. Currently, I'm at the University of Phoenix and I do research and presentations. So I think my background with genealogy, I can put a different twist because not only can I look at it from a genealogy aspect, I can also do the research and do the background of it and gel those two things together. So
wonderful. What is your background? What is behind you? What is that behind you?
Okay, so this is a quilt that my husband's grandmother made. And that's something that was big in both our families. I just don't have any quilts left because we use them all the time and they disintegrate, they tear up.
Yeah.
So the picture and made it a screenshot because, well, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that it was an heirloom, but you know, until you get in these classes, you don't understand how important small things are and the things that we have that are big to other people because not all families had quilting in their family. But that was something that was done in our small town. That's what people did together as a family. Friends got together and quilted. Mm-hmm. So we have a few quilts, but that was one of the things I shared in my class. And she was saying at this point, things that we have should be digitized.
Digitalized, yeah.
No matter what it is, the pictures and everything, because we save a lot. And one thing that I know Caucasian families do, and other families might too, mine didn't, but they have different trunks of things like what Jerry shared initially. And in those trunks, they have the family history and books and heirlooms, and they pass that trunk on to the next member of the family who's into genealogy. My family didn't do that. So I'm in a meeting with groups of people who have trunks of stuff from way back. And so one of the things they were saying is that they need to get it out of the trunk and digitize, because someone has a fire, they lose everything they have. And the teacher of the class said that she was involved in a fire and lost everything. And I mean, I have a quilt, so I digitized what I have.
It's
Okay,
beautiful,
good,
beautiful.
great.
Yes, I have an old quilt too that belonged to my great aunt, and she passed it on to me. She was a minister's wife, and she told me that in her church they had a quilting. Well, today we would say ministry, but in those days it was the ladies quilting guild or something like that. And there were a number of women who worked together to put this quilt. Brenda had it on her bed for many, many years. It needs a little repair, but I still have it, and pass on to Brenda.
That's very true about the artifacts. Whatever you have, digitize it. My mother's house burned down, and when she died, I took the pictures when she died. So I had all the pictures that she had in her house in a bin. I took that when she died, and her house burned down maybe 3 or 4 months later. Long story. There was some family living in there who were not in their right minds at the right time, and the house was gone. But I have all those pictures.
Wonderful.
And I used a program to digitize them. So I have a file of those, which I can share with everyone. But it's really important to put that stuff digitally, because it'll be gone in an instant.
Michelle, I have a
agree.
question. I have a question for you. Thanks, Rochelle. Michelle, I have a question for you. If one of us ran into a brick wall and we said, we want to hire you to work on that brick wall, is that an example of the services that you render?
That's an example of what I do. Not that I can guarantee that I can solve the brick wall, but I've been given different skills of how to look at things that before I started classes, I had no idea all the things that the documents had in it that we overlook. So yes, that is something that I could do.
Ooh, that's wonderful.
Where in Arizona? You said
I'm
you're
sorry.
teaching in Arizona?
Oh, I work for University of Phoenix now.
Okay.
But I taught in Illinois.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because I had a company and we operated Job Corps centers, and the last center that I had was located in Phoenix, Arizona. Job Corps, if you've heard of Job Corps, because a lot of our students did go to the university for different courses or whatever have you. So I was curious when you said Arizona. So I spent a lot of time out in that area.
I've only visited Arizona. I haven't spent a lot of time there.
Okay. All right.
Well, I just want to
Jerry.
thank you. I just want to follow up as a summary, and then we'll go to the closing comments. On the webpage, I have more information on that. And Rachel, at a convenient time, I'll connect you with my daughter, Bridget, so y'all can bounce off different ideas of where we're going with that. And that's on the webpage. And then soon they're going to be coming out with the 1950 census.
Yes.
So just be prepared on how we're going to use that tool to help with our research.
Is it 50 or 40?
April 2nd.
50.
Okay. Okay. I know I sent out information, but I've forgotten. And that's in April, right?
April 2nd.
Okay.
So that being said, it's a good Lord wills, our next meeting is going to be the third Sunday of this month, and I'll get. Does everybody see what date that is on the third Sunday of this month? What date is that?
1, 2, 3, 20th.
The 20th. All right, that's our next meeting, and we'll just follow up. It'll be same time, and between now and then, I sure appreciate how, this branch has came together, again, we're all we got, so I'd much rather deal with a small group that's together than a big group that's divided. It's hard to deal with a big group that's divided. And, you are my solid relatives, and to see my uncles all together, and then now I see my cousins. So that gives me a smile, makes me happy.
Yes.
Well, you make us very happy too.
Oh, yeah. So proud of you, and the leadership and the history that you brought to this group for us to know who we are and where we came from. And it's been of great value.
And what's happened is when, like I have planted some seeds, I've been blessed to do that. But when I look at the harvest, when you all get those seeds, what you come up with is extraordinary. Like Val, you flushed out Mike, for example. The McGee's.
Yes.
You help them
Oh,
with that.
yes, beautiful.
And so that's what we're doing. Like you say, Rachel, we can't do it all alone, but we have a great team and everybody contributes. So let's have the closing comments. We'll start with Michelle, then Ida, then you, Rochelle. Michelle first.
Well, it's always great to join. I learn something new all the time. Rachel, when you close, let us know the program you use to put your pictures together. But I learn something every time, and I enjoy the group, and I'm still trying to figure out the brick wall of how we're related, but in the process, enjoy this in the learning.
Thank you, Michelle. Ida?
Well, I'm still learning, trying to figure all of this out in my quest to know who I am. So it's been
where do you live?
Florida.
Where?
Florida. Mm-hmm. But I have it's been good because I went from knowing zero to at least I know some parts of me.
So which test did you take? You do Ancestry or 23andMe?
I did Ancestry. I did 23andMe. I put my stuff in Wiki. I put it in my heritage.
Wow.
Just about everywhere.
And you're in GEDmatch.
And how many people have corresponded with you who are your mutual relatives?
On one side of the family, I went from 0 to over 1,100.
Wow.
Is Jerry on that list of 1,100?
No.
No.
So this Jerry was new because remember, Jerry, I initially contacted you from my adopted aunt. Somehow that came up as a match. And later it turned out I was also related somehow. So I'm still working on, I got so many pieces, it's hard for me to kind of single one and work on one. So, but I do before the next meeting. I want to get with Jerry and try to see if I can figure some of this out.
Good talk. I got a question for you. What was your purpose of taking the DNA test?
I needed to find my mother's family. I was adopted, and the family that adopted me, they kind of told me what they knew. But the person who raised my mother was not her biological mother. So I was starting from scratch. I knew nothing. What I thought I knew turned out to be absolutely wrong. All of the information I had been given was completely wrong. And I just happened to luck up one day on a young lady in 23andMe, and me and her started talking. And she said, you need a search angel to help you. And she got me a search angel. And this lady, within 2 hours, she had unlocked the puzzle. and started the quest so that I could start to kind of figure out some of this. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. I could help everybody else, but I couldn't help myself.
Well,
Thank
you've got Brenda's name up here. You've got Valeta's name up here.
I
Check
wrote
to see if you're on
everybody's
your
name down today.
mutual relatives.
I wrote everybody's name down today.
Rachel.
I'm gonna be calling you guys. I wrote everybody's name down.
Okay.
So she's got to be, what, I don't have it in front of me. What is she, how far removed is she?
She doesn't
Third
know.
cousin, second cousin? Does it say?
I don't know for sure yet. I think with Jerry it's further, but I think I'm closer with Diane. For some reason, Diane, I think is a little closer to me than Jerry.
Now, who is Diane? Who is Diane?
Diane Smith?
Oh, our Diane. Oh, she was on.
I
here.
don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing.
Oh, I'm
that's the
saying,
only
who is
Diane that I
Diane?
know.
Jerry, Diane Trotter, isn't that her name, the one that comes to the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. That does
No,
the
it's not
gen
our
match.
Diane.
That
No.
does gen match.
Yeah, she does a lot of good match.
Yes. She's excellent.
So this is, like I said, all of this is new, and I'm learning stuff, and I'm learning some things that my daughter tried to tell me. She says, "Mom, you need to start documenting this stuff."
Oh, yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah, notebooks and notebooks galore.
Thank you, Ida, Rochelle, and then Brenda. Closing comments.
Thank you for sharing some new information about our ancestors that I didn't know before. I feel like I got some of the tea today that I didn't know before, so that was fun. And I'm, like I said, I'm just really grateful to be a part of the groups and this group especially, because I always learn something new coming here, not just about our family, but about how to do this research. So thank you very much.
And I just want to share something with you, young cuz. For much is given, much is required.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm not a computer. I'm not a computer person, but we'll help you.
To work, but
she's got the skills.
Love. Yeah, this is a labor of love, and I do have a lot of technology skills, so I'm more than happy to be a part. So don't worry about that.
Brenda.
Okay, so this has been wonderful. I'm very glad to finally be able to participate. And yes, I did not know a lot about beyond Grandpa Moss, who I heard a little bit about, and I knew he was a character and some of the tea and traveling around, but I didn't know anything behind that. And I love that picture of the brothers. I definitely want that. That's a great picture. And it is great, as you were saying, Jerry, to know that we come from these people who were, who did well, who had good jobs, who were, dressed well, who had, I just know from the Mosses that I know, my Nana and my father, who I wish you had known. You'd love Jerry. You love my father. You remind me of my father a little bit. Always good personality, funny. Anytime I would go up to Pennsylvania and be around those relatives, it was always people laughing and smiling and good sense of humor. And Michael Emerson was great, another Moss. So I knew, I've always loved the Mosses, but I couldn't go back any further. So it's been great to know that we come from these, people from other generations too, all the way back who were doing a lot and had a lot going on with their lives too. You always think because of your time when you're around, but as Black people, we just don't know our history. We didn't know, no one was telling us about who we came from. So it's always great to learn all this. So I appreciate it. I would just say as a side also, I was asking about the number of slaves because I had a really good friend whose name was Moss, who I met in DC when I worked for Amtrak. And he looks so much like Grandpa Moss in that picture. He has green eyes. I met his brothers. They're from Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know where they're from. And we used to joke about, we have to be related. And he looks just like the picture. That's why I was asking you, but sadly, I lost touch with him. He's one of the people I wanted to get in touch with, but I'm kind of sad because I was Googling him and I just found out he passed away a few years ago. Pete, they called him Pete, which used to drive me crazy, but that was his nickname, Pete Moss. but he worked for Amtrak. I worked for Amtrak for a while. He lived in Richmond. So I just wonder, I think we're going to find some more relatives as well, is what I'm saying. But you're right, Jerry. Let's work with who we have right now, and we'll go from there. But thanks so much for all of your research. And I'm not a really great computer person, like Rachel's a generation behind me, but I'm willing to help now. I have time, so whatever I can do to help, just let me know.
Much. And some of the names that you mentioned, Val has shown me some of her family pictures.
Yes.
Extraordinary. And your mother, I've seen, my cousin, he was small in stature, but he was a big man.
Yes, big person, always fun and funny and laughing. We'd always be laughing and joking, but a hard worker too.
Val, and then Juanita.
Okay. Well, of course, I was excited about being here today because I had missed a couple of the sessions that you've had for one reason or another. And I know I probably bugged you as to when are we going to have the next meeting? And you responded back to me to let me know. And I appreciate that. And that's the good thing about it, is that whenever there's a question that should come up that you have about anything that's been conducted through this particular genealogy group, Jerry will respond back with you immediately to let you know one thing or another, or send you an email of maybe a previous session. And those are the things that I appreciate. I appreciate the history that has been provided thus far, because if you go back to any of the video recordings, there's a lot of information there. And Brenda, you asked about the brothers, the picture of the brothers. There's a video that Jerry has shared for the past of showing those same pictures to us.
Oh, okay.
And I think, Juanita, you have that as well.
Maybe. I
yes.
didn't, maybe.
Yeah. And so it's the connecting of finding out who we are and the history of the folks whose shoulders we're standing on, knowing what they did and how they survived and how great they looked and things of that sort. I was really impressed when Michelle had mentioned about the trunks in the attic. And I thought about my sister, Connie, who has inherited this Victorian home that my great grandmother's husband built for her and her children. And in that attic were a lot of trunks. And I've tried to get my sister to let's investigate, because I had been in the attic in the past when Uncle Emerson owned the house. And I wanted to be able to see what was in there. And there was a lot of history there. And I'm certain that there's some history there that needs to be documented, because there were letters that Grandpa Moss would send to my grandmother's sister to check on the children and things of that sort. Now, I think, Juanita, you read some of those letters that Grandpa Moss sent to Aunt Dorothy. But if we all get a chance, and the next time we have some conversation, we can ask Connie about the trunks in the attic. I don't think she likes to go to the attic,
We're gonna have to go up there in person, Angela, to go with her.
Yes,
That's what it is.
Yes. Let me walk you through the attic. But those are the kinds of things that I've learned to share and to hear about that have been of great value through this particular genealogy group that we belong to. They have also helped both Rachel and myself with another group that we belong to from another side of the family, which is the Irving side. And now we're finding out more about the Irvings, which we didn't know. They're not on the Moss side, they're on the opposite side, my grandmother's side. But it's the value that this particular these sessions have in learning more and more about who we are. And I appreciate that and the leadership that Jerry provides. Thank you.
And thank you, Cuz. And once I I have a method that I use when I do my research. Once I find out that you're related to me, I find out if you're on my mother's side or my father's side. And I have documents that if you're interested and you leave me your email address or telephone number, because I give you mine. And if you leave yours, then I immediately send this document, this Moss pedigree report is what it is. And I send that to them, and then they're able to, okay, I got some information. And then they go right on down the list. And so that's how it spreads. I have the information. My goal is to share it, but have it in a form that you can use it. And then from there, then we start, putting it together.
Mhm.
Okay, Juanita, closing remarks, please.
Do I have a few hours?
Well,
You
have,
shut me down right away.
you have
Well, I'm going to speak to Ida and Michelle, and Jerry. You can listen in, and maybe Rachel, you can listen in. But Brenda and Valeda know everything that I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
So Ida and Michelle, I'm about to celebrate a big birthday. In May, I will be 90 years old.
Wow.
Bless the Lord.
Now say, oh, you don't look like you're 90. Thank you. Thank you.
Bless the Lord.
God
is great. God is great.
So let me introduce myself to you. My name is Juanita Patience Moss. I grew up in West Pittston, Pennsylvania, which was 10 miles away from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. My family was the only Black family up there. So you know that when I was 16, I was dying to get down to Wilkes-Barre, where the boys were. You can understand that, right?
Mhm.
So the boy is Valeda's brother that I met when I was 19. And so I married him when I was 20, or he married me when I was 20. And I took Valeda, 13-year-old Valeda, and 11-year-old Audrey under my wing. Every Saturday, they would come over to my house and clean my house for $1 each.
That was our spending money.
I fed them. Went to drive in all the time. Well, anyway, I was the big sister. And
Yes.
then Brenda came along, and Valeda and Audrey were the babysitters, and they loved Brenda. In the meantime, when my husband would be doing the ledger every month, he'd say, oh, if I only had $10 more a week, that's what I need. So I said to him, I think I'll go to the employment agency and get a job. Famous last words. No wife of mine is ever going to work. I sneaked away one day, went to the factory. I went to the employment agency and said, I'm looking for a job. Well, in those days, Black girls didn't do anything but become domestics. I don't like doing housework, so forget about that. But we lived in a mining area. The mines were closing, and the garment factories had moved into Wilkes-Barre, and a lot of the miners' wives and widows were working in the factories, and they were hiring Black people. So I was told I could get a job as a learner in a nearby town in a factory for 75 cents an hour. And after 6 weeks, I would get minimum wage, which was $1 an hour. So
Time has changed.
What'd you say?
Time has changed.
Oh, yes. Our rent was $35 a month, by the way. So anyway, I went to work. I hated the factory. I hated Sunday because the next day was Monday. So I said to Ed, look, it looks like I'm going to have to work. So let me go back to college. And Brenda's friend, Nikki, said, what do you mean let you? Well, if I went back to college, he had to pay for it. My parents weren't paying for it anymore. He would have to pay for it. Well, he said, okay, because he thought I could get a job in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, but no Black teachers were being hired in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. No, it was a way of getting him and Brenda out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, I'll tell you truthfully. Well, as Brenda will say, to make a long story short, and I heard Jerry say that too, to make a long story short, I took Brenda, we went to New Jersey, and I remember Audrey saying, you're taking our baby away from us. I always remember her saying that. But anyway, I kept Beleda and Audrey under my wing. They went off to Bennett College, and they had one became a teacher, one became an owner of Job Corps franchises. I'm very, very, very proud of both of them. And I'm very, very, very proud of my daughter, Brenda, who when she in 8th grade said, I want to be a lawyer. Well, we said, you can be a lawyer. But my husband, as Brenda said, was a hustler. He worked hard.
Yes,
He believed in work because it was a way to educate the next generation. So I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of Rachel. And I'm very proud of all of us who have stood on the shoulders of our ancestors who did not have the opportunities that we have, who couldn't even dream of what we can have. Even though the United States is not heaven on earth, because no place is heaven on earth. But even though we have striven and we have accomplished, and I'm very proud of all of us. And I'm very excited in learning more about what we're going to do in the future. Thank you, Rachel.
That was great.
Yes.
And you know, a little bit of history. Right after slavery and emancipation, the family got freed. The Black families emulated the white families. They didn't want their women to go to work, and you can see it on the census. The man was a farmer and the wife was housekeeping. They followed the same pattern, and she was taking care of the kids, so she had a big responsibility. And quite frankly, my wife I have that same principle. I've been married for 45 years because I married myself, and my wife never worked until she decided to just go out and get a part-time job just to get out of the house. So we sacrificed some material items, but our family are invaluable, and I'm just thankful I was able to have the talent that God gave me to provide for my family.
Well, I just want to chime in that as part of a different generation of folks, my husband is a stay-at-home dad, and I work because I have an excellent job, and we do want somebody to be home with our children. We don't really trust the strangers with our children. So, you know, it's flipped over to another place. But it's interesting to hear, you know, thank you for sharing that. Jerry and Aunt Juanita, I appreciate hearing those stories. I really do.
And the other part of that is if you go back to the generations where the mother was always in the home raising the children, you had less problems of the crime and everything else that we hear nowadays, where, you know, the family doesn't have time to raise the children because the dad is working, the mom is working, the kids, you know, wherever they can push them or shove them to get taken care of, you know, and it's not the same. It's not that loving, caring. And I think about my mom who raised all of those children, you know, and she was always a mom at home. And we learned all of the rules and what you could do, what you couldn't do, and everything else. But we also learned how she prepared those meals for us. And became better cooks, you know, as a result of it, you know. So there were good things that happened as a result of the mothers being at home helping to raise the children, where it's a little bit different. So Rachel, my hat is off to you and your family with your hubby being the caretaker.
I'm still a better cook
all
than
the
he
pictures,
is.
you know,
I'm
he
still
does
a better cook. I'm still a better cook than he is.
We heard him.
I heard you.
We understand, Will.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of women's rights. So
Yes.
we're gonna have to, that'll be another conversation for another day. I'm not ready to go back to the kitchen yet. Although I'm in the kitchen now because of COVID. I've been
You
cooking
will
and
now
cleaning
that you've
for the
retired.
last
You'll
3
be in
years.
that kitchen.
but we can't forget how far women have come. So I'm actually a proponent of affordable daycare with, for women,
For the
with-
working mothers.
for the working mothers with, appropriate teachers and people that are educated and, are trained to deal with children. And
Yeah.
Biden's proposing that affordable, because it's part of it. A lot of women can't even afford daycare at this point, and a lot of women have left the profession during COVID and are not able to return. So, and flexible work schedules, which because of COVID now they're coming around with flexible work schedules. Some others can work hybrid schedules. I believe in all of that. As someone who worked for 40 years and didn't have any of those opportunities, I'm hoping that there's some progress. But I think women should have the opportunity to have careers as well.
Yeah, my
Yeah, a
cousin,
lot of them are working out of their homes right now.
Yeah,
The job is in the home,
Yeah.
So that's good. That has helped tremendously as well.
and Brenda, my daughter Bridget, she has a family child care. She's had it for over 10 years.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Wonderful.
From toddlers
Yes.
on up. And so she's had a family, it's called Healthy Toddlers.
Yeah.
Family daycare. And so I would be up there with
That's
the
what we
kids.
need.
That kept me going, gardens and dad do this, dad do that. So
Well, I think for me personally, I was not an LON. I chose, but I chose the best career, I think, for women of my generation, and that was teaching, because I came home when my children came home. I was off in the summer when my children were off. That was great advantage. Yeah. But Brenda did complain about the fact that I would pick her up and then drop her off at extra after school activities at the Y. She wanted to come home with me. I went home and took a nap.
Yeah.
I would say, my mother would say I'm a very well-rounded person, because I was in every program you could think of. She was fine with dropping me off anywhere, everywhere, dance, camp, singing, but
piano lessons.
Yeah.
Well, say, cousins, that this film, this meeting it is recorded, and I'll be in the recording out to you and share with others. And anytime you need to talk to me, my line is open. Hey, I love you all. Take care.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, bye, everyone.
Bye, Ida. Bye, Michelle. Bye, Rachel.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Beleda. Bye, Brenda. Everybody.
Click.
Okay.
Okay. Until the next time. Let's lay down the bottom. There we are. Leave the meeting.
Man, that was a special meeting. They all are, but it was really nice to talk to my cousins from my uncle Monroe's side. Hey, God bless you. We'll be meeting again on the 20th. It's all good. It's all God.